Hey everyone, happy Sunday. I hope wherever you are in the world, you are having a good weekend or good week, because I know some of you don't watch this until later on in the week. And I know that some of you are almost a day ahead of me. So when this goes up on a Sunday, my time, it's already Monday for at least some of you in the world. Anyway, today I have a question that's been running around in my head for a while, and I want you to try and help me figure it out. Who should pay for electric vehicle infrastructure? Now, if we take the petrol station model, generally we say that the petrol stations should pay for it themselves. They should pay to put petrol pumps in, and generally it's treated as a fairly capitalist endeavor, and the companies make the investments and put the refueling stations or the petrol stations in. And then the customers come and they buy their fuel. And obviously in the petrol station, gas station model, the fuel itself doesn't actually make much of a profit, if anything, to the owner operator of the fuel station. They make money off selling you things like beef jerky, your candy, your chocolate, the newspapers, acting as maybe the local convenience store, or if you're in a small town, so you can go and get whatever you need whenever it is in the day or night. But when it comes to electric vehicle charging stations, we've kind of got into the idea that either electric car manufacturers should be paying for the infrastructure themselves, or that governments should be paying for the infrastructure themselves. And I don't think either of those models necessarily work. Let's look at Tesla's. Obviously, Tesla has its Supercharger network, and Tesla's model works to some extent because the cost of the Supercharger stations is bundled in with the cost of the car. And that has worked up to now. But I think the fact that Tesla has stopped its free supercharging program shows that even Tesla is struggling to make any kind of income from the actual supercharger. And it should be noted that Tesla never intended to make any money from the supercharger network. It was just kind of a value add to get people behind the wheel of a Tesla rather than anything else. But I think if other companies come on board and they're all building their own networks, I think we can agree that would be chaos. So the options are, obviously, companies jump in with Tesla's model and use supercharger stations. Well, that would be bad for Tesla customers, because suddenly there'd be an extra load of electric car owners wanting to use Tesla charging stations, which I'm sure wouldn't go down very well. It would put extra strain on the Tesla supercharger network. There would be all kinds of issues with compatibility between different cars, even if Tesla, as it's promised, open sources all of these connectors, and another company comes along and says, okay, I want to make use of those open source patents. Here's something in return, which is essentially what Elon Musk has hinted that Tesla would want. And if that happens, yeah, maybe we'll see the Tesla network grow. But with Tesla moving to CCS in Europe, it seems to make sense that Tesla is moving towards the standard that everybody else is using. And also, as a side, the American Tesla connector and also the European Tesla connector, I'm pretty sure those older standards are only capable of delivering maybe 150, 200 kilowatts. And when you look beyond that, which I know that Tesla is, then maybe you have to have a different connector to push that through. Anyway, I'm kind of going down a rat run here. So I'm going to come back to the original topic of this video, which is electric vehicle charging is not making anyone any money. EV Go, which is a local network here in the US, it's just put its prices up. Electrify America at the moment is not really turning much of a profit. If anything, I would assume, based on the massive investment it's had to put in to get those charging stations off the ground. And obviously in Electrify America's case, it's a bit of a fake situation, because Electrify America exists because of Volkswagen's misdemeanors in the Dieselgate scandal, and it was made to plow money into Electrify America by courts. So, Electrify America has its money right now from a court-mandated cash dump from Volkswagen. Looking forwards, is it going to make money? Who can say? At the moment, I don't know of a single charging network in the US that's making a profit on its charging. I might be wrong. If you know that there is a charging network that's making a profit, let me know. Let me know how it succeeded. But it brings me back to the question of who should be paying for this? Because a lot of people say, well, the car companies should be paying for it. But if we look at that in the context of petrol stations, car companies don't pay for petrol stations. In fact, automakers often end up getting paid by oil companies to work with them to develop products. And they have partnerships with them to develop products. So if we want to see that model go through, then we should see electric car companies partnering with electricity companies to install and develop these charging stations. And we are seeing that in some areas. But the logical solution would be for energy providers to be the ones to put charging stations in. And we are seeing that in some parts of the world. But other people are saying, no, this should be a social thing. We should be putting government funding into this because clearly it's not a profitable business and maybe the capitalist model doesn't work right now for charging stations. And so we should be funding it from government. And again, to date, we've seen that work in some parts of the world. We've seen large cash injections from governments who are trying to get the electric car adoption rates up. And so they install all these charging stations. And so I guess I want to know who is responsible for putting charging stations in, because I think based on the reading through the comments that a lot of you have made on this channel, you all seem to think that it's down to the automakers, and I don't believe it's down to the automakers. That doesn't necessarily feel like it's their bailiwick. I mean, they don't build petrol stations for their internal combustion engine cars, so why should they build electricity dispensers, charging stations for electric cars? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will be back next week with more stuff. But just as a bit of a side here, it is currently Friday when I'm recording this, and there's a really big storm heading our way on the west coast, Pacific Northwest. And at the moment, we're getting anything from a couple of inches through to 8 inches of snow predicted. And obviously, if there's 8 inches of snow, Portlanders are known for not being able to drive in the snow. They don't really do much to the roads around here. And while I feel confident getting to the studio, I'm not necessarily confident with other road users around. So next week, you may not see the usual videos. They may be a little bit more informal. We may have some more hangouts rather than, the usual stuff, just while the weather is bad. But I will be back in the studio as soon as I can be. I hope the rest of your day goes fantastically. And as always, keep evolving.